of the world. So as an analogy, like let's say you have an art forger. To truly create something that will fool 100% of the world, they would have to know the exact brush strokes and what paints and oils that the person used, the original artist. But if you just want to fool 99%, you don't need to know that much. So how much do we need to know about intelligence to actually create something that people will see as intelligent?
I'm not sure what you mean by fool, because if you have a program that solves hard problems, what would it mean to say, it's just executing instructions, it's not really thinking?
So I guess as a better definition of fool, so something like the Turing test where you say, oh, there's a person. So how much we would have to know about intelligence to say, if we could just put them in another room, give them some sort of telephone, if we could just run the Turing test and fool 99% of the people that are testing.
Not a test for intelligence. It's a test for when will people think it's intelligent. I mean, I'm not sure. Suppose that you didn't know that there were foreign languages, and you came across a Norwegian, and you couldn't understand anything it said. You would say, what is the use of this ridiculous machine that just makes stupid sounds? So I think it's always, people have always wanted to measure things, and the IQ test, Binet and Simon, what Simon? That wasn't Herb Simon. I'm trying to remember which Simon that was. That became a useful tool for seeing, measuring things that children could do and deciding whether there seemed to be something wrong with the child's development or whether it's getting too smart for it. I don't know if anybody got concerned when somebody got high IQs. But,
well, if I could ask a different question then. How much do we have to know about intelligence in order to create something that can create something smarter than itself?
well, everyone creates something smarter than oneself in their childhood, so that doesn't seem very... I'm not sure how hard that is. I wonder what is the right question to ask? How do you judge the progress of artificial intelligence? That might be a good question. As I see it, it took a dive in recent years, but not, I think I've complained about it too much. But what happened is that when we started this kind of work, it was a sort of golden age for science, because I've said it before, because at the end of World War II, there was a lot of machinery around. Maybe it's almost a joke, but there were 1 million kids who could get their hands on war surplus electronics. Now, of course, everybody can get their hand on a little computer or something, or cell phone or whatever. And but what's difficult is getting a job to work on.
Crazy.
Suppose you wanted to work for 5 years on some aspect of artificial intelligence. The machines aren't smart enough, you think. They don't have enough common sense knowledge, or they don't use it right, or
since my
whatever,
microphone is built into
then
my
you'd
laptop,
like to
it kind of
really
makes
work
it
on
hard
that
to
problem. And there are lots of reasons. I think I showed you a set of slides that showed a lot of reasons to work on what are the problems that civilization is facing. This morning I turned on WBUR, and some people were complaining for a whole hour that there's no way the United States can support older people who have infirmities, either mental or physical.
I don't know if it's ever going to work
there's
out,
not
but
enough
I want to
money
play video games
to hire the nurses.
So
and there are
because
not
I
enough
want to do
nurses
that,
to take care of
might as
them.
well fucking stream
My bet is that
whatever it
instead
is
of
that I'm
spending
doing,
$1 trillion,
and
on
you never
Medicare,
know. Shit
which is one
might
option,
attract people. If it doesn't,
but
I'm
then
still going to
almost
do these
everybody
things
will be
anyway,
working
which is kind of like how
to
this all
support
works.
these,
So
the infirmities of these older
it's
people.
kind of like a
It'll be a very strange
catch-22,
civilization
like,
if you spend
I'm doing these things
all of the resources you need. So
on
why
or
not
off the stream.
say what we need is AI to help
I have
these
no
people.
problem with there
And
never
if
being
the AI
anybody that
is
shows up
smarter
with
than
some
the
kind of
regular
allure anyway.
person,
Like the thought of
then it's not
attracting
even demeaning.
individuals, humans in particular,
So I'd like to see
into my life is like a terrifying
a very small
idea.
budget, like $1 billion, that has
So-
the goal of making intelligent
Not so much
machines in 20
terrifying.
years.
I'm not gonna say like I'm scared of
means
meeting
that you
people.
could
Like I'm
hire
definitely not a shy person. But like
100,000
the idea of
smart
having
young people to spend
people
10 or
in my
20
life
years
regularly
working on this sort of
knowing
thing be terribly cheap.
the levels
Nobody's
of
in charge,
depravity
though.
that humanity can get makes it kind of
And,
like, ugh. I'd rather not, you know.
You can't buy
The only thing that motivates me these days is
long-term
hanging out
care
with shadows.
insurance
But the
in
only
a
way you can
sense,
hang out with a shadow
because
is if the
there'll be
person's there.
nobody
So
to
I'm like,
provide it.
I'm good. You know, because shadows are
I'm
quiet.
rambling, but you see that it is potentially it's a very important field, but it's not in the politicians' spectrum of things you could do to have a better future for less money.
I ordered some
I
food
doubt
on
there's a single congressman
Walmart's app
who even
the other day,
knows that
and one of the craziest things
This is a
happened.
plausible gamble.
My
Anybody
delivery
know a
drivers,
politician
not every
who understands an
time I
issue
order
like that?
groceries, but like, not every time that I order groceries does this issue arise, but it does happen quite often where the apartment complex where my ex, my first baby mama, where she used to live, I don't know if she still lives there or not anymore. I would imagine she moved. But anyway, my delivery driver almost always has stopped there. And like on this last one, they were like 10 minutes past what the time said. And I had missing items. It was pretty crazy. I thought it was, I mean, it's not crazy. It's kind of fucked up because, you know, like a couple years ago, back when I was in Idaho, like I legitimately went to a place, in the emergency room in Coeur d'Alene, and like had to get an eval, mental health eval, because I thought people were messing with my food. And then like fast forward a couple years now, or a couple of years forward, and here I am with a situation where my app, which I have screen recorded, and I'm curious that like I'm low-key thinking I need to go to the police and like present them with the information, but at the same time, I don't know, I kind of enjoy collecting more. I have screenshots and screen recordings of the delivery driver going there. At least from what I can tell, like, is as the information is presented to me, they are going to that apartment complex.
Thank you.
And then, like, I ordered 2 onions, white onions, not even a big thing. I ordered them, and I get one that's like got mold on it, which is crazy because if it came from the store, the quality control or the individuals who are picking the produce are not looking at the food before they throw it in the basket, which could be the case, but you know, given the circumstances of the situation and the repeated appearance of the delivery driver's cars at that apartment complex, that just leads me to believe that it could be something other than what an employee might accidentally do. So it's one of those things. You just kind of like scratch your head and go, what a weird fucking world we live in. And then you can jump on a TikTok live and have the weirdest conversations with people who are amazing at amazing at, what is it called? Memorizing vocabulary list, which obviously I'm not going to be good at my age in a brain condition. So they're going to win in that area all the time because I chose to send my brain through the ringer via substance abuse, and so I gotta keep it simple. So if the way to win a conversation is say the biggest words, then they win. But if it's to exhibit proper application of logic, then I don't care how big the words are. If you don't understand the logic behind the big words use, then it doesn't really matter. You're just kind of like, you're not shooting the fish in the barrel, you are the fish in the barrel that knows really big vocabulary words. So, and then if you ever notice, and I'm just talking to myself, but if you are watching and you ever notice my car just randomly slow down in the middle of the road, that's because my trigger goes on strike or union mandated break. I'm not sure exactly which one it is because I don't speak trigger, so it's like we can't communicate, and if they're trying to participate in like a collective bargaining thing, then there's no negotiating that can take place because I don't speak their language, so it just decides to not work. So I mean I could use mouse and keyboard, but that doesn't sound like fun at all. Not when you're just driving. Wait, is it my video? Is it this that's in the background? Maybe that's what it is. Neat. Man, they say ignorance is a bliss, but it hurts sometimes. Like, being stupid, you have to be tough if you're gonna be dumb. Because it is not easy. Sometimes it is. Other times it hurts really bad. The blissfulness of idiocy can be short-lived. What am I doing? Okay, well, I'm gonna mute back up, and obviously I can't do two things at once. That's why you'll never see me walking and chewing gum. You might see me laying on the ground and chewing gum aggressively, but I'm having a hard time talking and playing a video game. And this money isn't gonna make itself, you know? So that's the best TED Talk I can present right now.
Now, is there a question I can answer? I feel I should get Winston to say something. Have you discussed this with students? How many students do you have who would like to be a professor? And what are they doing? Pat was one of a few students who wanted to be a professor. We're talking the late 1960s, and it turned out to be possible. But it's very hard now.
I decided I'd leave as soon as I found work.
I told you when Sussman was a freshman, he said, "I like this. I'm going to stay forever." But did you ever find work?
Of course, I never look either. So.
I had this bizarre experience. When I was a senior, because I thought I might have to find work. And I ran into somebody called Edmund C. Berkeley, who had written a book about robots. He had edited a popular electronics magazine, and so I went to see him. He was actually working at the Prudential Life. Did I tell this story? Because he had written this book on brainiacs or some Geniac. It was a little machine with 3 wheels of cardboard and some wires, and you could put in little contacts and switches and get it to compute Boolean functions. So it really was this is a 1948 computer. Didn't do much, but it did it. It had a little book to go with it, so I went to visit him. And he said, "Well, I don't really know anything more about this than I described in that toy, but I have a young friend named Martin Gardner who has built some other kind of logic machine, and he lives in Brooklyn." So I went to see this Martin Gardner, and I'm sure you all know who he was, but he wasn't on the side. He had just finished a thesis called, or a paper called Order and Surprise. I've got someone for you. And for me, it was the best thing I had ever read since Bertrand Russell or Aristotle. Namely, he said, suppose that an alien came down and looked at the world and he discovered this huge green thing with 1 billion grains of grass. They're all pointed almost the same way, and they're all about the same height. And this alien said, "What's the probability that such a thing could happen? Could it be an accident? Well, no, then the probability of 1 blade of grass would be 0.000 something, and the probability of 2 of them would be that squared, and the probability of 1 billion of them would be 2 to the billion, 2 to the 1,000 billion, or I can't calculate anything like that.
And off we go.
Anyway, Gardner convinced me, I think, that I should just keep doing what I was doing, namely figure out how to build learning machines and see if I could make them get smarter and smarter. But it's a great digression. But the same thing happened to me at least a dozen times, of just somehow running into the right people at the right time. And I hope that happens to you. I don't know how you... What's the trick, Ed?
You have to recognize them somehow.
Fredkin is an old friend of mine from the 1970s.
1950s.
50s, whatever it was. And he was always in the right place at the right time. In fact, he was director of Project Mac for a while, of what became the Laboratory of Computer Science. Only he did such a good job that some of the faculty was jealous. End of story. It's a bad story. So you have to look for them. If you like somebody's work, just go and see them. However, don't ask for their autograph. A lot of people come and ask me for my autograph, and it's creepy. What I did was read everything they'd published first and correct them. That's what they really want. Every smart person wants to be corrected, not admired. Back to reality. So I don't know whether one, it seems to me you don't want a Turing test. We all know that if we could make a machine that behaved a lot like a 4-year-old, then we could make it better and it would start behaving like a 5-year-old, and eventually it would be smarter than us. And this Turing test thing is a joke. And Turing regarded it as a joke. If you read his paper carefully, he's saying, I'm not deciding whether a machine is intelligent. I'm only deciding what performance would be such that a person would be really impressed, whether it deserved to be applauded or not. And now in the case of IQ test, you could say the same thing, except that generally people who are good at
Thank you so much.
10 different things, or much better at 10 different things than most other people, are good candidates for solving a new problem they haven't seen before. So it's not useless, but what's annoying is when people think that Turing was saying this is a test for whether a machine's an intelligent. Yes?
So I want to argue that representation is like really important for intelligence. So for example, if you have a SAT sentence,
If you have what?
a SAT sentence like X1 or X2 or and X3 or X4, like
A question with several answers proposed.
like you want to know if that's satisfiable or not. Like it's important to know, for example, if that sentence is important or not, if it's solvable or not, if there is a solution that transforms that sentence true or false. But you can just say that, oh, there is a solution that this is true, this sentence is true. And I'm just transforming from one representation to another. So, like, at the beginning I have a representation, which is a sentence. At the end, like this sentence X1 or X2 and X3 or X4. And at the end I have just, oh, this is satisfiable or not. But they are just representations of the same thing. And, like, for example, there's some theories about, like, for example, Shannon. He just states, like, what's the optimal representation according to the length of, like, the word. But maybe that's not the most important thing. Maybe there is some trade-off about, like, how big is, like, the sentence and, like, how easy I can get to another representation of that sentence or that thing. Like, it seems that we humans are very good at representing stuff and switching between representations, but we don't have a very good sense of what's a good representation in that sense, that I can change between, I don't know, solutions, or I can change between representations of the same thing. And maybe an intelligent machine is a machine that can represent things in a good way and can switch very well.
Well, you're asking, I think he's asking a deep question, which is, how many of you know Shannon's theory of information? Almost everyone. That is, if you have a set of things, how many binary choices or questions would you have to answer to find a particular one? That's log n. But if you don't know the probability, if they have different probabilities, then you need a more complicated formula, which is the sum of the inverse log probabilities, blah, blah, blah. And that's a beautiful theory. Now, that works perfectly for well-defined situations, for example, where you have some enormous set of messages that you can describe as with set theory in a neat way, with probabilities, and you want to know how long it will take to transmit information about, to pick one of that large set on a particular physical channel. And Shannon discovered this wonderful formula, which turned out to be the same as the formula for entropy in physics. And I have a long story, or short story about that, which is that thousands of papers were published about this new theory of Shannon's, which came out in 1950, I think, and maybe 48. And then suddenly they stopped because, in some sense, all of the important questions about that theory had been answered by the middle 1970s. So that's less than 25 years. Anyway, a lot of people said, but this theory only works for very well-defined mathematical situations where there are signals and probabilities and symbols and so forth. Is there anything that is there a similar theory that could describe machines? Like suppose you take an automobile and it's got a lot of gears and pistons and spark plugs and electric gadgets, and it's not enough to describe that as a list of parts. You have to say something about what each part does, the shapes of parts and how they fit together, and so forth. And so shortly after Shannon's theory became popular, lots of people said, well, is there a similar theory for structural information? Is there a theory like that for geometric forms and for mechanical things and for chemical reactions and so forth? And no one ever found, in other words, is there a theory of what you might call semantic information rather than just statistical information? And as far as I know, there isn't any. There still might be, but it's the only case I know where a whole scientific field appeared and then stopped. You look at everything else and it keeps going. And in fact, we had a journal of information theory and the editorial board was mostly MIT professors. And this journal was published for about 10 years. And then one day we were picking the papers for the next issue, and everyone rejected all of their papers on this committee. And the journal, we declared the journal finished. I don't know. What journals have closed lately? There must be some, but they don't get much attention. Will the Wall Street Journal close?
Are all the important questions about Wall Street answered?
There are a lot of people camped out on their sidewalk. I don't know if what's bothering you?
Just say a little bit more about what you mean by semantic information theory, because that's bothering me at the moment.
I don't know what I mean. I guess the point is that if you look at the objects in Shannon's theory, they're just little points in some abstract space, and they each have a probability, and that's all there is to them. And if you say there's 1 million gadgets in your catalog, and each one has a certain probability, and you don't know anything else about them. Then suppose you want to make a big sequence of them and transmit to someone else how to reconstruct that sequence. Well, if you just took the first one and the second one, and wrote a sequence which goes A, B, A, B, A, B a million times, then you could compress that by somehow communicating a description of what you mean by repeating a sequence, and then say, now repeat the sequence A, B a million times. And you can presumably describe a million in some ways also, and the whole mess. Once you've sent those descriptions, then the further such messages of that kind would be very short. But now if you go and take random samples of these million things, then if they're all equal probability, then it's going to take 20 bits for each to tell about each symbol, and there's nothing you can do to reduce that bandwidth. So semantic information would be somehow transmitting other commonsensical or informal information about the objects you're talking about, rather than just their probabilities of the individual items.
Why are we stopping?
Whatever it is, nobody ever found. Everybody said we want semantic information theory, and no one could say what they meant by it. If you had a good definition, maybe one of us can do it.
Yeah, well, let me try. I mean, isn't that the kind of thing that we do in a lot of knowledge representation, as if you make an ontology in advance, and we have a common ontology, then, I just need to index those concepts in the ontology, or, if you have concept matter, if you have open line, we have a default body of common sense knowledge, or some default body of semantics, then yes, you can communicate semantic message. You can communicate a lot of semantics in very short messages.
Well, for example, generally the most useful words in the language are the short ones. So, but I don't see how you could get such a neat theory as Shannon's. But it's like group theory or something where arithmetic is much harder than group theory, because in arithmetic you have a situation where there's two different groups. There's on the integers, where you're multiplying things and you're adding things, and number theory is immensely complicated, and group theory is, well, it can get complicated, but generally it's a very clear field where I don't know what to say. Very likely out of the attempts to build common sense systems will come some beautiful theories at some point. You might almost have them now. I was trying to read some of the people from your group, and the papers are pretty hard to read. So they look very good, but I wish I could get them down to one page and understand it.
Intuition for tensors.
Tensors. Things with a lot of subscripts. So what do you think the AI people should do next?
I think I'm going to harp on the Turing test still. If we were able to demonstrate, if a machine were able to demonstrate the kind of common sense reasoning that a 4-year-old does by building that arch. Is that analogous to the imitation game that Turing was trying to propose? Because in the paper he does say with improved performance, memory, and program that the machine will have. So if it were able to imitate the behavior, is it a reflection of what was involved in getting to that point to imitate? It's just, I mean, deception is one part. I think there are a lot of objections he addresses, but in our example, if a machine actually demonstrated the common sense of a 4-year-old, wouldn't that be an analog to imitation?
We once had a Turing test situation where in the early days we had teletypes attached to a big computer in Technology Square.
I work with Lester Kress.
And it was all connected on one of the first beautiful time-sharing systems. And one of the engineers who worked on the time-sharing system was a young professor named Herb Teeger. And I fooled him for a minute into thinking that I had an AI program, but I was actually in another room, and
All right, I'll get you
he
there.
would
Reverse
type
Turing test.
questions, and I would answer them in a very stilted computer-like fashion. And then he said, "How much is this times that?" And he had two 15-digit numbers, which he must have just typed like this. So I very cleverly replied, "Accumulator overflow." But I misspelled accumulator. So I failed the Turing test. Do you remember Teeger? Ed Fredkin here is one of the 3 or 4 inventors of large-scale time-sharing computers. Any good stories about that?
Yeah, there are lots of good stories from long ago, but I don't know.
I don't really know if I feel like I'm into this video. This one's got like a weird, I don't even know. A slow delivery. I think he's paid per hour, not per talking point. I don't know. But obviously he's much more intelligent than me, and I really like when he says that the thing about the small words, but I don't know. I don't know how long I'm gonna last in the stream today. I might just go lay down and go to sleep. Say fuck it. I thought I was gonna have a little bit more of a gas tank, but as I sit here, I am not feeling it. Maybe it's the conversation, the subject matter in the video, whatever it is. I'm in the belt hold boom. I just played somebody on my FIFA, so I got FIFA streaming on another platform, kind of like farming, I guess, for FIFA Mobile. But I played Ben, and it just got me thinking. Like, I know a Ben that refused to admit that he knew me, and it's interesting because that Ben's a predator for sure. But anyway, besides the point, sometimes you just gotta say stuff on the off chance that Ben might hear. Alright, well, I'm getting my ass handed to me at FIFA. Oh wait, no, I just scored the goal. I thought I've lost like 4 in a row. I got my team's overall 116, and sometimes I just get annihilated 6-0. which is crazy. I do believe that if you're gonna cheat online, and I'm not saying that everybody I lose to is a hacker or whatever, like that would be dumb. Some people are just, well, it's manager mode, so some people just have better teams, you know? So there's really not much you can do about that, but.
Come on, man. He got more hits than the LSPD, and you know they give you a 5-star.
I think that hacking online in video games should be considered, like, if I could speak without saying like, that'd be great. If I say it out loud, my brain will shut it off, like a binary switch. But cheating online in video games should be treated exactly the same as cheating at the casino, and like altering electronic gambling device, where it's not so much that we can win money in FIFA, but it costs money. And with the presence of online gaming or online competitions, you can never really know for certain when you're loaded into a game or playing against somebody that might be playing for money, which I guess I wouldn't be if I'm playing manager mode in FIFA, so this argument really doesn't matter. So at this point I'm just rambling, but what do they say? You gotta talk more if you wanna become more popular. I don't really feel like talking to become popular. I don't really feel like becoming popular. That sounds terrifying. Not in the sense that I already explained, but like... yeah, I don't know. I have run out of steam. But I don't feel like streaming. If this was lucrative monetarily, then it would make sense. Like, even like socially, it would make sense to continue doing it. But when I can just go lay down and sleep, that sounds phenomenal. 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 Yeah, I don't think I can handle any more of this lecture. Layers of mental activities. What really killed it for me was that guy's laugh. That's the thing that sent me over the edge. To be a good content creator, you must first identify what it is that you're going to talk about, and then talk about the topic that you identified. And then after you've identified the topic, a future discussion, you discuss it. And then once you're done discussing it, you summarize what has been discussed. And then you say bye. Like, share, and follow. But I think at this point, it should be assumed knowledge that if you like the content, you should share and subscribe. And if you're one of those individuals who just watches content but doesn't like, share, or subscribe, then you're probably somebody who doesn't wipe after they poop. Or you wipe before you poop. Because I don't think there's somebody there to tell you that you need to wipe after you poop every time that you poop. So having to be reminded of the same thing every time you participate in that thing is like a call girl having to be reminded every time exactly what it is she's there to do, as if she's being programmed directly every time she shows up to get well. I'm winning this game 4-1 in FIFA, so I guess complaining does work sometimes. The universe will listen. Long story short, complain about your video games and you might win. you have a better chance of winning in video games if you complain more. Don't work on developing skills, just find a game that plays automatically and then talk the wins into existence. And if the wins aren't coming, then you're not saying the right words. And never forget, the best way to win at life in general is to complain about it. If you don't believe me, go back and watch any successful comedians early in their career. First you must complain, and then you must... Is it complain more? Find more to complain about? I don't really know much about successful comedians.
Every fucking time.
You really just did that, huh?
Don't miss the next episode of Serious Cougar. Eunice goes on a bender with a pool boy and breaks her hip. If women in their 20s don't know their ass from their elbow, and women in their 50s know what they like, imagine being with an experienced, pleasure-loving octogenarian wrestling with dementia and horniness. The show that hits below the belt, just like her breasts. Serious Cougar, Wednesday nights at 9 on Weasel. Every element in the galaxy boils down to one. You say what is the one? Space 103.2.
We got some more great tracks for you.
Where'd he go? What the fuck? Damn it. Ooh, we're about to win 2 in a row. We're up 2-0. 2-0. I like how the screen says no mic, and then the video's paused that I was listening to. I'm a liar. I'm a dirty, hairy back liar. I don't even get like the cool all my back is hairy. It's just like it's patchy. Just a couple areas are like, yeah, we want hair right here. Which really, when I see it in the mirror, which isn't very often because I don't look at my big back, but when I do look at it in the mirror, the first thing that pops into my mind is intelligent design. Like that is the proof. That is the reason why I go to church every Sunday, is because of my random patches of back hair on my back. I'm just like, I see it and I'm like, there's no way that there's not a God. Honestly, it makes zero sense. Like, how could we not be designed by something more intelligent than us? And like every time I reach behind myself to clean something that is ultimately like the most like it needs the most cleaning, I don't know, I don't wash my dishes in a manner where I don't look. Intelligent washing is where you use your vision to see if it's clean, and like, man, I really wish I could not say like. Anybody who claims that humans are the result of intelligent design should be forced to wash all their dishes behind their back and never be allowed to use vision to wash anything. You vacuum your carpets, you're gonna do it backwards and behind your back. You wash your car, you're gonna do it behind your back in a manner where you don't get to see. If you think for a second that you're allowed to use a mirror, I'm gonna have to say no to that, because it's not like humans have developed a product that just clips to the front of your toilet and it's in your toilet bowl, so you can check visually how good of a job you did washing the thing that, unless you're me, it doesn't smell like roses. Completely lost my train of thought. Yeah, so we don't use vision to clean our behinds, and the golden ratio obviously applies to that, because that makes sense, you know, like the golden ratio is proof and evidence of a more intelligent being. Okay, then use the golden ratio to explain the location of the human anus. Oh, it doesn't explain anything? Like putting it behind your back in a place where you can't see without the application of technology, which would be, like, I guess, ask any engineer if they would design something to be cleaned where you can't see it, and I'm pretty sure that they're gonna say like, nah, that's not intelligently designed. If you need to clean it, you're probably gonna need to be able to see it in a very like natural manner. Why even include something that needs to be cleaned after consumption of necessary nutrients? I don't know. Why not just not require nutrients to be absorbed? And consumed in a manner where there's waste that needs to be, I want to say extrapolated, but I don't think that's the right word, but it's a big word, and I like the way it sounds in my ears when I say it. What was I talking about? The thoughts just extrapolated out of my head. Now I'm thoughtless. And I'm talking about, like, I don't have any thinking happening. I'm also thoughtless if you define thought as habitual companionshipper. Yeah, I'm thoughtless both in physical presence of thoughts and in the non-physical presence of thoughts. But I'm okay with both, honestly. The only time ignorance is harmful or hurtful or painful is when the presence of a thought is occurring, and it's like both physically and mentally. Sometimes it's just the mental thought that leads to the pain, and then sometimes it's just the physical presence of a thought that can lead to pain. And it's like, if you just could learn to live without thoughts, then your existence would be less painful. but then that requires knowledge of that existence in order to achieve it. So you can't be, you can't lack the knowledge or be dumb in regards to the knowledge. So that's where ignorance isn't blissful, because you have to know how to live the blissful existence. So I guess what I'm saying is, like, if you lack the information necessary, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm done. This is why I don't turn my mic on, honestly. Honestly. Okay, I need it. This isn't even my truck. How did I get in this truck? I don't remember drinking Jaeger. Okay, that was extremely rude. I'll trade you. Fair trade. What the fuck am I doing? Why are you hitting them? They didn't even do anything. Oops. Okay, that one didn't work. Figured out. Oh, that one didn't work. I see. I don't appreciate that, Ossifer. Oh shit. Don't do that. I don't know, you guys gotta shoot. I feel like nose hair is waving. My left nostril in particular. Hey, fucker. Hey, fucker. I don't even know if it's there now. Let me find one more of those white vans and it's on. Like a Donkey Kong. Originally known as Bubba. Alright, if I don't find a white van soon, we're gonna have to resort to picking a rando. That's mine. Please. No. I don't want to do that. Oh no, this is over. Damn. Oh no. Hey, all that shenaniganery, or whatever the word is, kind of woke me up. You know what I mean? Just sitting here doing nothing, about ready to fall asleep, and poof, burst of energy. I bet you can hear the fan. It says my mic is picking up noise all the time, so that means it's going to be an unwatchable, unlistenable experience with the mic on. I guess. I'm not sure. Tifa up 3-0. I wonder how hard it is to cast somebody else's device and then just like pretend to be them, as long as you can take their screen and mute the audio.
Where are we heading? And we're off.
Make it snappy. You have some fun. I'd rather be with you. Yeah. I can't sing. I've never wanted to be a singer. I do things because I'm bored. Sometimes they're good things. Most of the time they're dumb things. I just need a motorcycle. More motorcycle.
Okay, we're here.
I don't know if I have one in here. I do not know if there is one here. But dude, why is my aim so fucking terrible? Hiya, come on, hurry up. Oh, it almost worked. This thing takes like, this still would pop up as much. Damn it. What the fuck? Jump up there. You son of a bitch. Lazy.
Thanks for your business. Our car's on its way.
I don't like this bike. Oh. Damn it. No coming back from that one. Where's my bike? Where's my bike? Hang on. Oh, can't do that one. Not at that angle. No. I would rather not. I just feel like running. Oh yeah. Fuck even, where am I? How do I get out of here now? Uh-oh. I don't know what I'm doing. Damn it. I'm trapped forever. Oof. Not good. These are not good at all. Alright, well, I guess this is where normal streamer will probably say things like a conclusionary greeting, or no, that would be a greeting, no, salutations. What the fuck? I'm not sure. Actually, I think